Up now on screen, these are the guys who are potentially going to get ploughed according to Thorin. Who's a standout player there? We were talking about Nitro earlier, Thorin. Would you agree, Florence Adikist?
I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah.
I mean, Nitro to me is like one of the best up-and-comers in North America. Very talented, probably by far the best player. But you know he's going to probably do work in this game, if anyone. So I don't really want to see him as a standout player because you know he's going to be performing. I would probably say adreN, because without him calling decent strategies, this will not play out well for Team Liquid.
Okay, well, just
to
go
go
ahead.
to Nitro. Yeah, if you go back to ESEA LAN in December, season, I think that would have been 16, 17. I can't remember what number we're on now. It would have been 17. Although Fnatic actually won that game, Nitro dropped something like 30 frags with iBuyPower back when he was playing with them. But then when he switched over the most recent performance, MLG, when they played each other, it was 16-13 Fnatic. So there's been completely two opposite sides of the coin. One where Nitro actually made an impact and one where he didn't. I still think he's the player to watch against them, though.
I mean, if we want to go beyond that, beyond the obvious name, the other person I'd probably pick out is FugLy. He can be pretty good as well. I think he has a chance to show his stuff here. One of the problems, obviously, is when you go against Fnatic, though, they've got so many star names. You know, it goes really deep. So even one star performance alone probably isn't enough.
Do you think, Fiflaren mentioned adreN before the break, if anyone's just joining us now, you mentioned that in the past he's done some of the choking, as we like to say.
He's just a guy where he's had his problems when he's come to the European tournaments.
Yeah.
You know, there's a track record there. And so the reason why I pointed that out is because people will think, okay, well, towards the end of the iBuyPower era when they had Dazed and Steele, etc., well, they made it to the final of the last FACEIT League, actually, the last season, and they made top 8 of ESWC, and they made top 8 of Gfinity, so you might think, oh, right, I guess they all got over it. No, but actually, adreN wasn't in the team anymore at that point in time. He'd been removed earlier in the year, making way for, I think that might have been Steele, actually, that he came in for. So I don't actually know. I still need to see from him if he's not going to have those issues on European tournaments, because, again, as I mentioned, when it was the Katowice offline qualifier, his team on paper should be one of the teams getting out of that. You know, they've got the talent for it, and they didn't get out, and they actually did quite poorly. So they went out. In fact, I think they just had 2 straight losses and went out. So I want to see that as the aspect there, because I'm not actually sure. Is he actually the in-game leader, Sadakist?
Yeah. He is. Daps and him have been back and forth
share
on
it?
calling, but it's been shared duty. You'll, like if we had comms, you could listen in. You'll see adreN usually make the initial call, and then Daps will contribute.
Because, I mean, that's one of the issues there, is if your in-game leader's the guy who's choking, etc., that can throw the whole team off. It's one thing if one player is and the rest can make up for it, but if the in-game leader chokes, that can sometimes affect actual calls as well. Like, he's not making the good calls, or he's hesitant to do something because he himself's not playing well.
Right, okay, and the Fnatic team, which we will see on screen now, very well-known team, obviously. You're number 1, Thorin. Are we going to see any standout here, or are they all just going to stand out? Are they going to be...
Well, what's been interesting about the last few tournaments for Fnatic is the old setup was KRIMZ used to be like the really stable player, and then JW would just have these crazy games. But it feels like in the latter day, the 2 players who were doing the best most recently is flusha and Olof actually. Olof's been the really consistent one. He nearly always has a good performance. But JW in the final of CCS, actually some maps he just disappeared completely. Meanwhile, flusha was going crazy in some of those maps early on. He had like 25 kills within 10 rounds on some of the maps. So I actually don't really like that dynamic. I think that's why they haven't been winning to a degree, because there is like a hierarchy in teams. It's when your best player isn't doing that well, if another player does better and picks up the slack for the kills there, well, you can't necessarily do his job, you know. So it doesn't always work out that way. I think they're at their best when it's KRIMZ and JW are like the main guys, you know. And Olof's is like an awesome luxury. If he's a really good player and he just throws in the odd game, awesome. So at the moment, having flusha carry hasn't really been the formula for success, I don't think.
Do you think that's going to get into their heads a little bit, that they're what they see as their star players and not actually pulling?
No, I actually think that they see it as a positive thing, because flusha hasn't been playing that well up until recently again. Like, I mean, after he got scrutinized online and everything with everything that happened, and then you had coming into MLG Aspen, he played horrible that tournament. Same with ClutchCon. So coming in after, like, the tournaments after, he's actually been playing a lot better, which is great for Fnatic, the form. KRIMZ hasn't been playing too well. But then again, we always know that even if he's not playing too well, he has the potential to play well, especially on maps like Mirage, where he's holding the A-bomb side himself. That's actually really key for him to actually be able to actually do that. And again, he hasn't been playing too well, same on Inferno, but we know that he has the potential there. And Olof being a beast as he is, you know, they might have had some issues, but they're still a very good team. So again, I have a very hard time seeing Liquid be able to, you know, actually do something here against Fnatic.
Yeah. The betting community seemed to agree with us there, or with the analysis that it was on the screen a moment ago. 95% towards Fnatic. I think we are going to see a very similar outcome to what we're all expecting. So here is a knife round, and I'll hand it over to you guys for Flaren and Sadakist.
Yeah, I mean, this is the interesting thing, is we're starting out on Cbble, which Fnatic obviously bootcamped before ESL 1. Extremely good on it. Really good fakes and smokes, and I think actually since ESL 1, I think they're undefeated on it. They had a close game against NIP, who had a good T side against them in the best-of-5 last chance qualifier for PGL CCS. I think Envious is the only other team that's given them much of a run.
Yeah, and I mean, last time I think Fnatic played this map was versus NIP, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the PGL finals, and they just stomped NIP completely. So this is a very good map for NIP, or for Fnatic, sorry. And at Liquid, I actually haven't seen them play Cbble that much. So I can't really say if they're going to be decent on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen them play the new iteration of Cbble at all. Obviously, I've been over here and quite busy. I've been trying to keep track of what's going on in North America, because obviously quite a bit's gone on in the last week in terms of rosters. But yeah, I mean, this is a map specifically. We talked about who to watch. Olof on the defense. FACEIT, when he watches that long hallway, is absolutely relentless. Drop. Pronax actually plays it up close and usually gets away with it. He's really good at dodging flashes just because he plays right on the edge of the doorway. So as soon as he sees a flash, one step sideways, and even if he's partially blinded, it's, you know, he's got like half a second and he's already peeking again.
Yeah, I actually think that this is probably one of the better maps for Pronax. If you just look at it, I think Inferno and also Cbble are probably Pronax's two best maps. And which is great for being the in-game leader and being able to put in like those numbers and playing the position so well, which he does on both of those maps, on Inferno CT side as well. And then, yeah, like you're saying, like Olof, and this is same with JW. It feels like JW has a lot of space on this map because he can do so many things. He can push hallway, he can push A, he can push mid, he can push anywhere he wants, basically, and that's how JW likes to play.
Yeah, and not only that, the smokes that they throw, even though it's a fairly large rotation, specifically T-side, it goes site to site, the smokes that he throws holds a lot of the CT players in place, so it really comes down to that one clutch player who's either at drop or on CT to be quickly rotating back and forth through the connector. But Fnatic obviously won the knife round. They'll start it out on the pistol side. And a bit of a rush coming out already from Team Liquid. And they want to actually not even contest drop. They've got all 5. Okay, no, they do have one lurk player in the form of Nitro back toward drop. But here it is. Olofmeister's already up close. And look at this reconnaissance mission. JW already up behind. This gives up the gig. They know that they're at B.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. JW loves to do these things. He doesn't spot anyone, he just waits and he pushes.
Oh, but Olof gets caught. He actually came up close to daps and just on the other side of the smoke. So daps had vision and Nitro's going to come in and catch KRIMZ. Now they've got a chance to walk in from both sides as flusha has to look at both left and right. Good shot backwards onto EliGE. Bomb's still going to go down there, but here's JW already on the flank and he actually catches him. He didn't hold that bomb plant, so it's dropped and now Team Liquid have to contend with only JW on the backside. Olofmeister has lagged out, so we'll likely get a pause after this round, but again, bomb not down. It's a 1-on-2. Oh, okay. So, issue somewhere, I assume, within the server, perhaps with eBot on the drop. It just decided to go ahead and reconnect. The interesting thing is we're really deep in that round, and Liquid had just picked up the bomb and actually were running it in toward A. So they'd pretty much given up on the B site to take that fight. They would have had a plant, but then you go one-on-one with
That's such a shame as well. Being on a T-side on Cbble, managing to win the pistol is so big.
Yeah, especially of course they hadn't won it just yet because it would have forced the one-on-one with JW as
but they still had a chance, right? I mean, look at Fnatic's timing there. It was actually pretty off. They knew that JW was flanking. Even though they knew that, they took positions where they had to take the fight early, which left JW in a very awkward position because they had smoked it off. He had to run through the smoke to actually, you know, try and kill someone, and they just kept on getting picked apart. The best thing there, when you know that he's coming from behind, just take less awkward positions so you can actually just wait for JW to do his thing. Because you saw JW or Olaf through the smoke. That was a good position from him. Obviously, he failed a little bit there with the 5-7. I was expecting him to at least get 2.
Normally, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Normally, when he gets aggressive in that spot, he does get 2. I think he thought he was deeper in the smoke, and daps could actually see him.
Yeah,
so.
But that's the only position you should have. Like, Olaf can stay there where he was. That was a good position since the smoke was down. Everyone else, just back off a little bit. Just wait for JW, and then once he's actually in position, you can push forward and just try to take the bomb site. And you didn't really see that. You saw them getting picked apart. All of them died, and then I think it was Pronax who died.
And Nitro got the better of him at drop, which we talked about just prior to that. That Pronax is quite good there. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not sure how this round will play out now. Probably it's going to be a do-over.
Yeah, this is going to have to be a very large gentleman's agreement. I mean, we saw last week at CCS, Envious actually did kill out a player.
I saw that.
But there was some debate even still about whether their buys were identical and the money was identical at the end of that. So this is essentially impossible to come back to a dead square, dead even battle. How much time was on the clock? How much health was on each player? Now, I mean, essentially, we're going to have to redo the pistol.
Yeah. And I mean, especially most of the times when you have the rule set is if something happens the first 3 rounds, you just replay it, right? Nowadays, you can actually replay the round. So even if you want just a pistol, then you can at least just replay from there. But since the pistol wasn't over, and even though it was looking in Liquid's favor, you can still, I mean, it's probably just going to be a replay.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and again, you talked about the unfortunate part of this is pistol looked like it was potentially going toward Liquid. That gives them that 1-0 start. Pending an anti-eco, you get a bit of a cushion. Map's a little bit more even than it used to be. I would say 8-7. 9-6 should be for sure, I think, in pretty much every case. But I would say 8-7 is actually very doable right now. Maybe not these 2 teams.
I was going to say, you have to consider the teams as well. And getting the pistol versus a team like Fnatic, who's known to be a very good Cobble team, that's really
and that's
great,
the point I was going to make. Yeah, it gives them a chance to actually make that scoreline possible in the first half. So instead of, I mean, you lose that, you got to do it the hard way. Then you're looking at potentially only 4 rounds going Liquid's way. I can't see them, barring some huge, phenomenal play from individuals, Nitro specifically at drop, and then Olof perhaps not getting all the trades that he's looking for. If by chance Liquid have some brilliant flashes that catch him off, then maybe they'll get, I would say, best four gun rounds would be what I would expect out of them. But this just becomes a lot harder if they don't get this pistol.
Yeah. But I keep in mind as well, they've been doing work coming into the tournament. Because since obviously they knew that they were qualified, they have been actually practicing a little bit. And Fnatic has actually been on the road quite a bit. Whereas for Liquid, they've only been practicing. So I'm not giving them the edge at all here. I'm just saying that they do have a potential to upset Fnatic, at least one of the maps. I don't think it's going to be Cobble. Mirage is also going to be hard, but knowing that...
And going to Mirage, think back to the qualifiers for Katowice when they played on it on their defensive side. Flip side realized they were playing really passively, and they would just smoke off the A site, run in. So hopefully Liquid's learn from that, and they'll get a little bit more aggressive, because if that's the same trend, Fnatic's going to walk all over them there. So that's a little bit different. Of course, Fnatic likes to play a bit more mid-presence, but they'll still exploit that eventually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it definitely creates the map pool. Actually, Thorne and I were talking about this last night. Fnatic has such a deep map pool right now that it's really hard to find a map that you're going to beat them on in any situation, because they're going to veto out their weaknesses. They've got 5 strengths right now, ultimately, and they're going to veto out instantly the 2 they don't want to play, and then you're stuck with the lesser of the evils. Best case scenario.
Yeah, and that's why the finals that you just played last weekend versus TSM was so fun to watch, because they do match up pretty well in terms of maps. Same with Envy and Fnatic; they also have the same maps that they play, and then it's always so fun to actually watch them play, because since they're good on the same maps. And then coming in, TSM, obviously underdogs, even though they came from the upper bracket, managed to win their first title in CSGO, which is massive, right? So that's why I'm looking forward to see them play here at the FACEIT as well, because then we'll see if
it's a continued trend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to judge them after one tournament. I think they were long overdue for that win, and they worked hard for it. I mean, giving up 1 map and winning 6 against the company that they were with. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. There's no question about that.
It's a good feat.
The other aspect we haven't really talked about much is Liquid. Obviously, yesterday, or I think the day before, actually, it was discussed and discovered that Hiko was planning on making a team with potentially 2, if not 3 of their members on the roster. That creates a bit of turmoil. Now, we've talked a little bit off stream about it, and it seems like that subsided. Obviously, Liquid came back with a great offer for their members, and they've discussed it. They're fully committed, but that does sort of play in the back of your mind. Do you think that's going to affect them at all in this tournament coming into this?
I think if they actually did not redo their contracts or whatever happened, I think it would have been. But not knowing that they actually re-signed again, their contracts are done, they made up their mind, okay, we're going to stick together now, and we're going to play, then I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. I think if this didn't happen coming into the tournament, then yes, I do believe so. Okay. I think that if this would have been a bad tournament for them, or if it's going to be a bad tournament for them, chances are they wouldn't be around for that much longer. But since they re-signed, they have obviously, they probably got a much better contract now. It just gives them more strength to play and more, it's going to be fun to play because you actually get something out of it, like more than usual, right?
And you have to wonder as well if the re-signing is a result of the new Pro League being announced. Now there's more of an investment for Liquid, because for a little while it looked like there was a shadow over North American CS, and if they weren't going to perform, where's the return on investment for the sponsor? But now you have to wonder. New league comes out. You've got a potential top North American roster. It's worth it to stick around. So the timing might have worked in their favor there as well. In terms of, like you say, getting these contracts. 'Cause if the contracts didn't come now, they perform poorly here, then might be in jeopardy.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that Pro League as well. I'm not sure of the rule set, but it's probably the same as before, where it's top 4 going to the playoffs.
There hasn't been a whole lot of detail released in terms of that. I know it's 22 matches or something like that over Tuesdays to Thursdays, best of ones. I would like to see best of 3s in that scenario, but best of ones, it's a long season. So
that's probably why. And I mean, considering especially for North America, I mean, for Europeans they will always perform versus everyone, right? But for North America, obviously the biggest thing for them is to perform in North America. So you know they don't actually lose out on that top 4 spot. So that's probably going to be their main focus, especially after this tournament, to make sure that they actually do well versus the other North American teams because of the shuffle and everything that has been going on over there.
Yeah, and I think this was another debate Moses and I actually had. Do you build a super team that suddenly goes overseas, can compete with the big dogs, and then comes home and stomps everyone? Do the home teams learn from that? Do they say, okay, we got to be this good, and then they practice to beat them? Or do you start growth internally and create a strength throughout the whole scene? And I think throughout the whole scene is the way to go. So having this pro league, if it develops well, could actually help all teams involved. I think having more than 8 is good as well because the hierarchy has been so... There's just been a huge discourse between the top. You've got these teams that dominate Invite right now, and then the bottom teams which really don't do anything. And the bottom teams don't learn anything all season because they're just getting smoked. Now you've got more of a...
Yeah.
It's going to be still a divide. You're going to have your top teams, but the rest of the league's going to mix it quite well. And I think they'll start to build off that and learn from that. I said best of 3s might be the way to go. I'd still like to see a best of something, maybe even best of 2s, just to give a little more time in each match.
I don't like best of 2 though, because then you feel like, let's say it goes 1-1, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, where's the last map? I want to see that.
I
And
guess
it just
that's
ends.
true. But it still adds to more of the season stats. You can still say, okay, this was an upset because, well, okay, they evened it back up, or hey, they played horrible that night. I don't know. There's a debate to be had there. I think best of 1s just, they kind of like salivate you, and then you just don't get, it's like Pavlov's dog. It rings the bell at the start of the series, but then the meat never comes. So I don't know.
But what do you think about the shuffle then? So my thoughts, right, is
I
that
tweeted it last night.
I don't think that any team got necessarily any better.
No,
I just think that maybe a little bit, right, but not to the point where, oh my God, this is such a great team. These going to be able to perform so well versus the Europeans. I don't really see that. Like Cloud9 for me, like Skadoola is a great pickup. Like that's the best pickup that they could have gotten.
But then you pick up Freakazoid, and all due respect, the guy does have some skill, but he hasn't played in X amount of months. I think it's up. It's definitely beyond 8 months at this point that he hasn't played. It might even be a year. I'd have to look back. It's been a busy year, but that kind of cancels it out, doesn't it?
I don't. The thing is, people are talking bad about Freakazoid. I actually think it's a good pickup. The reason being is that even if he might not have played for a long time, he's their entry fragger, and you need that because you have like Shroud, for example. He's super good when he goes in second or third. Like that's his thing. Like to go in second or third and just mop up the floor with everyone. Same with Nothing. And then you have Skadoodle, Strong Opper, and then Shogairs.
Yeah. So as long as Freak can come on and play that role and be successful in that role, sure. Even if he trades or has to set up trades for Shroud, I suppose. But I think that the other win for them is that they locked up Swag. And you would anticipate that if the ban's lifted, he's in a position then, if he wants to play, I don't know if that's in the contract, he could then actually say, okay, I'm a player again, I can leave the organization. It leaves his options open, but it also gives Cloud9 a foot in the door in that possibility. The rest, I tweeted basically the NA Shuffle more like how many teams can we muffle, because the rest of them just swap players. I mean, CLG getting rid of Peter to me still seems confusing. When I think of CLG, I think of Tarek and Peter right away. I don't know what roster chemistry issues they have. Obviously, they're rumored or almost confirmed, I guess, by Hayes to be moving to a house. Maybe his personality doesn't mix, and spending that much time with him, I don't know. This is all stuff you can read into it. I haven't actually discovered a whole lot more about it, but that's a big player. They don't even know who they're going to replace. I assume JDM64 needs to come out of retirement for them at this point because he's the only one I could see stepping into that role immediately. There's rumors over Professor Chaos, who obviously just left Nihilim to make room for both Hiko and Pyth, which is another roster I think that strengthened.
Well, Pyth
But
joined
how much?
Luminosity, though.
Sorry, he joined Luminosity.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Semphis
right.
joined
Right,
Luminosity.
Semphis. There you go. My mistake.
Yeah.
I knew it was another. Which is another. Actually, that's another interesting mix because now you have Semphis and Hiko together again. Obviously, they'll put their differences behind them, but there was definitely tension between those two as well.
You never know. And I mean, and the funny thing here is that out of all the teams, Liquid is the one that has not made any changes. Even though it was going to happen, it didn't. So these are the one team. This is the one team that's actually intact.
Yep.
Now, is that going to work in their favor? Maybe, do they feel strong enough as individuals, as a team, to actually compete versus the NA Shuffle
Elevate had the same approach, though. They did make roster changes in the middle of the season, but it's been a while since then. They've sort of subsided. And I was talking to XP3 last night, and he said, why do we want to make constant changes? I'll give you the example, actually. If you look at LG, at the start of Season 17 ESEA in January, they were predicted to not win a single match by Rotoderp. Hate to call them out again. So we're just getting word actually they're going to restart the game, but we'll finish this thought. Rotoderp basically said they're not going to win a single game. But because everyone had just made roster changes, no one was really settled in. They were coming back off ESL qualifiers, ESEA lands. They ended up picking up a bunch of wins that they rode out and made it into the lands. Unfortunately, it hasn't been strong for them since. Now they've picked up 2 players that might, this time I'm right when I say Pith, thanks for correcting me, and Peter, which actually give them a bit of a chance. But because they didn't change anything, the consistency for them paid off. And Liquid might be in that position now if things get rolling. Obviously, the Pro League starts up, rumored to be May 4th if all things go according to plan. So it could give them a bit of a boost.
Yep. And like you were saying as well now for the restart. So it's going to be 0-0. They're going to replay the pistol, obviously, because the pistol didn't even end. So it's going to be fun to see if Liquid actually can manage to... Because they had an idea there. They had a plan coming into the pistol, even though it looked sloppy, I was going to say.
It looked a little rough to get in. The one thing I will say is where JW already pushed up and had the information, if they run the exact same setup again, I imagine that Fnatic's already going to be stacking toward it. But, I mean, that's reading into it a lot. Because then you could say, okay, well, they already did that. We already know they did that. Now they'll just change it again entirely. So we'll see if Fnatic responds to that or if they just go default.
Yeah, they'll probably do the same thing. Thinking, because I mean, there's no point in changing, because you have JW in the mid, he has all the information, even if they actually come there, having the people in connector towards the A or B bomb site.
Rotate back.
Yeah, you can just have them there. So the setup for Fnatic will probably not change. It's going to be the liquid setup, if that will change or not. I still say run the same play.
It's a debate. There's definitely a debate, because Liquid's the inexperienced team here. Do they overthink it? Because it almost is overthinking to say, oh, they know what we were going to do. We're going to do something completely different. Well, that worked. You did get into the site. You found the 2 entries. The big thing is, does Olof change his position? Because that's really the one that opened up the site. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that run could have looked so differently if Olof had just had gotten that 1 or 2. Like when they ran in, he didn't get a single one and he ended up dying. But if they run the same play and he stands on the exact same position with the 5-7 and the smoke and let's say he gets 2, right? Then
it's a whole different round.
Yeah,
it's a whole different scenario.
But it's about, obviously you should never second guess yourself either. So if Liquid came into this game with a game plan, just stick to it. Doesn't matter if it's a pistol, just stick to it. Because chances are, if you keep on changing, even if it's just a pistol, right? Let's say you change it because they're like, oh yeah, they know what we can do now. Let's just do something else, like go mid, for example. And that fails. Then the insecurity will come, knowing especially for them as well, they're the underdogs. You know, they had a game plan, and that's probably what you want to do when you play against a team like Fnatic. You have a plan, you want to try and stick to it.
And actually, you made a really good point about the fact that Liquid's been practicing for a long time, because when they were under the Denial moniker, that's a player in North America. When they were under the Denial moniker, they went into ESEA land in December knowing they were going to be playing Titan first, and daps basically said, I don't care who else we play. This is a good test for us as a North American team. He said, I've spent so much time counter-stratting them, and they actually had an amazingly good series against them. So daps is quite good at reading into his opponent. Now, there was a little bit less time to prepare on who they were going to play in this land based on the fact that the EU side the pecking order wasn't quite as established, so the seedings weren't set in stone until about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, as long as you're ready on the maps, then even if you just have, let's say, a week to prepare for the specific team, you know the map, you know the layout, you know everything, you have your idea, right? And then after you go in and you start watching the actual teams you're going to play on it, if you do have like an idea, okay, we're going to play them on Cobblestone, for example, then it will still help you. Like, it will still be better, even though you might not have as much time as you would have wanted. Now, it's always great for all the teams. Like I always say this, like coming into a team, always try to know the veto. Always try to...
Which surprises me that it shows that Liquid might have confidence on Cobble we don't know about, because most teams instantly look at that against Fnatic and go, that's out. Yeah.
Yeah, but then most teams as well always have that one map they don't play. Yeah. For Fnatic, it's Nuke. You know? For Liquid, it might be Overpass, for example. And they're like, we don't play this map, we're just going to veto it. Now, I don't know if they play Overpass, it was just an example. Yeah, we're just going to veto it. If they end up picking Cobblestone, we'll be ready for it. You know, okay, yeah, we can't play this map. We're not good on Overpass, for example.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be Cobblestone, then let's just prepare for that map.
Yeah, I guess like it's the lesser of two evils. Would you rather take the gamble and play them on Overpass where you think you're completely useless? Or if you're somewhat proficient or at least somewhat comfortable on Cobble at all, take that fight. So yeah, I mean you got a point there for sure. It's just interesting to see teams let it go through against Fnatic, because this is a map that originally I said teams were scared of them, that they were almost using that to their advantage. They were letting people ban it out because they wanted other maps more. But then we actually finally saw them play it, and they just slaughtered teams on it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, the hype is real on Fnatic's Cobblestone. Like, you have to give it the respect it deserves. Again, Thorne and I mentioned it last night just in casual conversation. Fnatic's depth right now is massive.
Oh yeah. They're a very tough team to play against because they're so good on all the maps. But it's specific maps that they're really good on. And obviously Cobblestone is one of them. Mirage is one of them.
Yep.
Cash is one of them. And then they also have Inferno. Like, these 4 maps, if anything, I would just avoid. Dust 2, it's playable for sure. It's probably out of the 5 that you have in there, Dust 2 is probably the weakest one. Mirage, they're super good at.
Yeah,
Inferno,
I
obviously
would-
the best Inferno team out there as well. So, and you have Cobblestone again.
I would say their
probably the best team.
overpass is mediocre, but you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the maps in the pool, I'd say Dust is the one you'd almost want
Yeah.
to play.
No, yeah, but so I was just referring to their 5 strongest maps, right?
Yep.
Out of the 5, it's Dust 2 that's the weakest one. It's the one you want to aim for.
Yep. No, that's a. I mean, again, it's a good point. But we're back into the game. We'll get things going. Are we starting with a knife again? Apparently, we're starting with a knife again.
No,
according
so they're
to
just
Ebot.
gonna right
They're gonna
kill.
kill out.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
because
good.
they restarted the server, so obviously Ebot
Has to do that.
Yeah,
And it was already done. That was established. So
Yeah.
Fnatic will still start CT side. And Lick will go right back, hopefully, to the pistol that they started off, and hopefully with a similar fashion from their perspective.
yeah. I mean, obviously you have to stay positive, but they need this pistol. Like, again, I don't know how good Liquid is on Cobblestone, but knowing how good Fnatic is, I have a hard time seeing that Liquid can do something here.
And the challenge is that Fnatic, I wouldn't even say that one half for them on this map is that much better than anyone else. It's that they're good on both halves.
Yeah.
They can get numbers on both sides. We talked about the fakes a little bit, how Olof holds people in place. It's usually Olof that throws
So
them.
now
He's
you
not
actually
the
see-
only one.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Olaf switched it up.
Yep.
So now he's ready for this close fight. He's got
yeah,
the
but you
CZ
do have smoke
75.
flash on adreN as well. It does look like they're running the same play though.
Well, it looks that way so far. FugLy's a little bit more passive. In fact, they're going to slow it down just a little bit sooner so that smoke will go back out. But as we mentioned, Olof this time has...
He changed pistols.
Yep, the
He's
high
so
fi-
sneaky.
Yeah. Well, this is a high rate of fire. So now if they rush him, he's got a better chance to potentially do more damage, and they're already pushing through, but they're past him this time. That's your bomb. So he actually pushes through and catches the bomb. This gives him a chance to play it in reverse. He does get caught by Nitro. That's important. But this pulls pronax off the drop. KRIMZ has already rotated. FugLy, though, gets JW. That's your flank player. So this is starting off. Liquid's actually responding to the weaknesses they had the previous time, but not getting the entries they did. So it's a complete shift at the same site.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually you saw there that both teams did exactly the same thing.
This time, though, we're 2-on-1 for the reverse. It's going to be Fnatic that have the man advantage. Nitro's the one that's still standing. 85 HP for him. And 86 and 100 for both KRIMZ and flusha. And Nitro spotted. They're not even going to give him the time of day to sit and get comfortable. They'll take the fight to him and peek him at the same time. And like we said, that round actually changed it up. They caught JW lurking, but they didn't get all the way in the site.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you were saying, they caught JW lurking. They were just waiting for him because they knew. So both teams actually essentially ran the same strat. It's just that Olaf Ami changed his pistol from the 5.7 to the CC, managed to get that one person, which is key, and then it still looked like to be going into Liquid's favor, but they just never reached the site. Yeah, obviously the SMGs, of course.
SMGs are out like crazy. Flusha's the only one with the P90 though, so it's only going to be $300 kill reward for him, but still lots of bullets in that magazine. Lots of pages to be turned. Olof, this time slightly different angle, but still up close with the MP7. Pronax, a little bit different under drop. They'll avoid the flash. They're going to jump down, but Liquid does find the burst. It's Nitro again, and they trade it out. So despite that Olof finds one at long, EliGE's already found Pronax. This forces Olof to get back inside the site, and they've given up an SMG. flusha's still got his P90, but there's one down. daps with the Tech 9 needs to do more damage. FugLy's actually the one to find flusha. And this puts us down to a 2-on-2. HP very low, but still a man advantage as they caught Olof with that Tech 9. And JW's going to take the fight. He's not going to wait at all. He goes right in, but the bomb's still down inside the window. daps is trying to find the angle. Playing it passively, though. Bring around the Rosie right now. The good news for flusha, or pardon me, for JW is that he has got into connectors, so if bomb gets picked up, he's still in a good position to cover off both sites. But daps, did he know he was there? I'm not sure he spotted him. Needs to be so careful, and JW gets the better of it. So Liquid give them a good effort right there. SMGs didn't actually get a lot of kill reward in the round. It was JW who picked up a lot with the P90. But
Yeah,
now they'll
actually,
upgrade.
yeah, they started off well, Liquid, getting all those initial picks, and they had the smokes and everything to actually try to get into the site. But being so passive, you just letting all of Fnatic actually just come and help their team instead of just doing it fast, so they actually do not have the time to do so. They could have probably won that round if they played a little bit faster, so JW didn't have time to rotate. It was a good eco nonetheless.
Yeah, so with the SMGs going down and coming into the pending third round, we do have the rifles already up for Fnatic. 2 M4s out, JW, Olof, the 2 players holding onto those. pronax changing his angle again this time, as we saw double flash come over. This time they won't catch him at all. It's, again, just plays an angle he can fall. Nitro does find him though, so Nitro's entries have been quite solid, but KRIMZ with the double, that slows things down massively before adreN goes back into him. And look at Olof from long range, has the angle to hold into the drop and at long. And he'll get a third. Nice shot actually for the last one.
Yeah. So here we go. We're probably not gonna see an op though. Nope, we're not from Liquid.
They would have to
FugLy
go
could
glass
actually,
cannon.
yeah, FugLy could actually drop an op if he wanted to, but they're not going to. So I guess we'll see here if they actually do have a plan, if they actually worked on their Cbble.
And they'll split it up this time as well. So guns out, but look at the aggression on the A side. flusha already up at long A. EliGE needs to take the fight down low against JW. And adreN's going to eat a bit of damage from that nade. Only a minor, very minor amount. 4 damage, but they've got him checked off. And this is now, okay, so pronax, this is where he was effective. Olof's already found one out toward long B on daps, but this is where pronax gets close. Now that he knows guns are out, he'll play it very tight on that angle, because that flash actually has to come in either really shallow so he can push against the wall, or deep, and if it goes too deep, it bounces off the pillar just above him, and he'll avoid it just by turning. So he has a good position to dodge that flash again.
Yeah, we see smokes as well.
That changes him, forces him out.
Yeah, the problem here that Liquid did not get any map control, so you see all of Fnatic, they're all going towards B, and they just left that one person on A. This is going to be extremely tough for Liquid to actually get this site.
Olof goes passive though. So based on the read, this is interesting because they've actually got 2 players outside a drop. pronax up close, he could actually fall back and help, and where he goes passive, that gives up a little bit more room. So adreN finding that kill gives Liquid a chance to walk around the corner, but pronax won't let them go any further. He's already found a double, and JW contributes on the third. They're going nowhere fast, and they're all dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing about not taking map control, especially on a map like this. The map is kind of big, especially for you saw flusha being so aggressive on the A bomb site. If you would have just taken some map control, maybe forcing JW back towards the site, it gives him less time to actually rotate, to actually help out his teammate. But since that didn't happen, Fnatic had 4 players there, so it didn't really matter if Olof actually went defensive, knowing that, yeah, even if I go down, we have 3 more guys waiting for him.
adreN catches JW early. So that's 1 lurk player at A, and they're going to take advantage of this. But here you go. We talked about it. By getting that far forward at A, you've got a lot of time to rotate your player and connector back. So KRIMZ is already there. He finds EliGE. flusha domed up on the way back out. Olof, by the way, does have an op in this round, but again, he's over at B. In fact, he's going to go even further than that. He's in the B tunnels behind Team Liquid right now. Just has to bide his time because they're going nowhere. Again, they can't find the opening at all in toward the bomb site.
Yeah, it's very risky.
That's an op up.
Yeah,
So
especially
now
knowing it's 1 minute left. Yeah, there you see Adrian picking up the op and he gets it. It's very risky, especially when there's so much time left on the clock. If he goes down there like you did, you give the op to your opponent, and it's a 3-on-2. Yeah, and you see B is completely open now. So they're taking a gamble here, Fnatic. I think that's the correct call. Just to wait it out.
This is interesting, though, because I was actually thinking a save might have been possible, but look at KRIMZ up close. Once they had the man advantage and 2 guns picked up, they were definitely going to go for it. Unfortunately, that is exactly the wrong thing to happen to them. So even when it looked positive, it looked like they had a chance. KRIMZ catches them off. Double for him, and it's just FugLy left. He's going to go down on the way through. Crossfire already set up. They're getting lots of kills out. They are taking men down on the Fnatic side. They're just not getting anywhere near the bomb site.
Yeah, it's the execution that's lacking right now from Team Liquid. I mean, getting that op was great, right? And then you see Fnatic, very smart play by KRIMZ, actually pushing the hallway just to make sure, okay, I need to clear out something here. I can't just stay passive and just wait for them to make their move. I have to make the move first. And he managed to get 2, and he gets the 3rd one later as well. And it gives, then they don't have to take that much of a gamble to just stack 1 site, which they did.
And interestingly, adreN goes right back to the op. So we'll see if he can find another kill with it this time. As Olof wants to get aggressive in this smoke. Okay, so actually just plays it off. Pulls the second one out. He does that. He kisses the smoke. We're seeing more and more players do that to dodge the flash that goes through.
Yeah.
As we see there, that flash goes a little deep. Even if he doesn't dodge it, he's in the smoke and undercover. Daps, though, finds Olof, so overstays his welcome as that smoke slowly dissolves. Good counter flash out on EliGE, though. They know Flush is up close, so they won't take that fight, but slows down the push. Can pronax hit the shot? Loses a lot of HP, down to 15. Daps down to 27 in response. Nitro, meanwhile, is going to open up A site. That's Flusha down, and now they've got them split. Bomb is over toward A. There's only one rotator in position. That's going to be JW, and he's already found. So Nitro is making the difference now, and they've got their best chance to secure a bomb site. Flusha, or pardon me, KRIMZ, held back by Daps, who is lurking, so he'll be even slower to arrive at the party on A. And pronax on low HP is already going to get caught. Good hold on the angle from EliGE, and they'll just wait this out. KRIMZ has very little movement to use, as he's got players on all sides.
Yeah. That was a pretty decent round by Liquid. Again, you saw them lost entry. They kept on going though. They kept on trying to get the map control, and it paid off. They got the sites. I think it was Flusha. Then, you know, knowing that JW was there before, they couldn't spot him on site. They just decided to smoke off the connector area, rush the site. Nitro with 2 raid frags that round. That just basically secured them the round.
And the other thing too is they split it that time. They had actual players enter on B. Fnatic's been so used to them fully committing, they rotated 2 players into connector. And like you said, the second one was JW. He couldn't get back in time.
Yeah, so it's a great round, and this is how Liquid should play pretty much every single round. You know, all of these, you know, stacking into B and just try and walk in through the smoke with that one flash. It's not necessarily going to pay off.
Look at Cadian. I love that Cadian highlights this for us,
yeah,
so we don't have to.
Cadian is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously a full buy from Fnatic. He didn't have that much money because they kept on losing a lot of men, like we were saying before, with Liquid actually getting the picks. It's just they couldn't execute onto the site. So this is an important round for Liquid. Winning this one is going to force Fnatic onto a save.
Yeah, and the other thing is we just saw JW firing with his pistol. If Liquid read too much into this and think they've broken the economy too soon, they're going to be surprised because, like we've seen, there are 3 scouts out. Now, keep in mind, Fnatic in the past have done these aggressive force buys. They've got the money to make this sustainable with head armor this time, but they've done these aggressive force buys and actually paid the price for it down the road and given up far too many rounds defensively. We'll see if that's the case. Olof's already got 1 tag onto adreN. Nitro's down low as well, and he's already caught. 70 damage comes out. That's far too much for what he had left. And KRIMZ is on this off angle with the M4, so now they're getting slowed down, and EliGE is... Oh, actually gets the kill in return. I thought for sure he was going to go down to that M4. The incandescence of the fire in front of him, and he still finds the kill as Olof's still on that backside. Now that wall is slightly too high. You can't jump over that one to get the scout shot from there.
Yeah, no, and you saw there, like, Liquid actually going towards the side a little bit slow.
Good lurk from FugLy. Comes in late. There's 2 for him. JW the second of which to drop. This opens up everything. And Flusha, although he has the scout, finds himself in a very lonely situation. As Cadian highlights, there's only 10 seconds, but the bomb will go down as it was already being planted. Flusha, wow, okay, CZ75, make it 2. He's got this down to a 1-on-1, and FugLy's very low on HP. 2 HP only to work with, and that smoke's going to go off. That'll cover off one side of the site. If he fires through it and gets caught, he may just do that. It's going to go to Flusha, and there you go. FugLy thinks he's holding the defuse, and with the AK out, or pardon me, with the CZ75 out and only 15 HP, Flusha pulls off a 1v3.
That should never happen. Having the bomb down on a map like this, sure, I understand that he gets the first one on the bomb side, right? Why peek him? Why keep on peeking him? You don't have to. Like, you don't, like, just wait. Yeah, sure, it doesn't matter if he has the kid or not. You don't have to peek him. Yeah, sure, you might have sold your mate on the B bomb or on the bomb plant, but it doesn't really matter. It's a 2-on-1, bomb is down, just play the bomb.
Man, and again, FugLy had no HP to take the fight, so even if he spams through the smoke, which he has to do preemptively, the gig's up. So that was a big win for Fnatic.
Yeah, they did have money to buy though, but as you can see, they don't have a lot of mates, which will not work in their favor. Especially throwing that, again, they're throwing the Molotovs here, but that's just a precaution. They're scared, right? You didn't see him actually take any map control from that Molotov, not at all. So he's just wasting his nades for no apparent reason. Sure, I understand it's a fake, right? But when you don't hit the site, if you just throw a flash, Fnatic's a great team. They're not going to fall for that. It's like, yeah, one flash, okay, everyone back up, they're coming. It's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen at all.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's not enough investment to make it executable elsewhere if they don't have any nades left.
Yeah, because now you see daps have 1 smoke left.
The interesting thing is, though, that because they lost so many men, and they did go for that really aggressive buy last round with the 3 scouts, they're still quite weak in terms of economy on Fnatic's side. If they win this one, they'll be right back into it fully, but we see 2 FAMASes and the MP7 for KRIMZ.
25 seconds left. They have 1 smoke to work with, and no flashes left.
Yeah, JW in a reasonably good spot to get the first one. Now, he can get pinched quite easily. Yeah, exactly. You can't readdress that angle, and there's nowhere else to go, so Nitro finds flusha as well. pronax wants to go for this retake, setting up for this flash over top. Thinks better of it. He spams through. daps did cross over just before that. KRIMZ is going to find him. So 2 up, and again, bomb down. This time they need to be patient. We saw what happened last time. If they just don't peek, they've got a chance, and adreN's going to hold this crossfire angle. Needs to be so careful. pronax doesn't check him, and he will. There's the first, but there's 2 there, and that means they'll get him. Good trade out from Olof, and he's going to find the second. Nitro had nowhere to go. They were on either side. No matter where he went to hid, someone was already looking.
Yeah. Same thing there. I mean, yeah, sure, they got their entries, right? They got the bomb site, they got the bomb down. That was all great. Lost the after plant once again. This time they didn't necessarily peek it though, but I think it depends on the bomb site. So on this bomb site, the A bomb site, you want to try and get a crossfire, so they actually don't reach the site. Whereas on the B bomb site, because it's so open, there's not a lot of places where they can actually defuse the bomb and hide. But you have so many places to actually hide and be able to play that bomb.
Yeah, which again is surprising about that last round we saw, that 1v3. But once it was into a 1-on-1, it was only ever going to go flusha's way with the HP the way it was, especially with that smoke that he had left. So again, saving nades for Fnatic paid off. This time smoke going to be executed on B. This flashes off Olof. He's in behind the tree, so he won't get spotted. Man, he was in the open when they came through. Nitro does find your entry again. He makes it 2. That's pronax down a drop as well, and he's going to make it a 3rd. Catches Olof, so he's quick to move, and Olof had nowhere to hide. flusha does finally come around and silence him. JW tries to go for the no-scope, tags him up. But luckily, adreN comes around the backside. 15 HP for adreN, 100 for flusha. We've seen this situation before, and this time there's no bomb down for Liquid to work with. It becomes even harder. Fire's still on the site. adreN does have the bomb in his hands, but needs to be so careful as flusha is getting closer and closer to his position. Oh, and he spams away. Tech9's not going to do anything there. A little bit of damage, down to 57, but it gives away his position more than anything. But still, flusha wants to change his angle. And adreN's going to go for the op. This is very interesting. It's up close. Oh, and he almost hit it. That would have been an absolutely brilliant play. But flusha gets away alive, and the Tech9 can't do it. Down to 13. Reasonable effort from adreN.
Is this Call of Duty? He's just jumping around with his M4.
I made that reference actually last weekend. I better not do it twice, or Valve's going to fire me.
Well,
very
I said
quickly.
that now, so
Yeah.
you're off the hook.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, again, Fnatic are really good at situations like that when they're, even if they're men down, those clutch situations they're very good at. That's why you don't like so Fnatic or for Liquid there they actually hit the site.
JW went naked, completely glass cannon, no armor, and as a result, aim punch down to 7 HP on just a tag. So flusha actually gets adreN, but EliGE does still find an entry. That's with the P250. Immediate response, and Olof turns around. He's already got 2 in the round. daps silences him. And they're deep in, but JW's still alive, still has this pistol, only the 7 HP. They just need to tag him up once, and they do. FugLy does find him eventually. KRIMZ now on the way around. Will catch out him. So this still gives them a good position here to pinch the site, and that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, good thing to mix it up for Liquid there. Going a little bit faster caught Fnatic a little bit off guard, especially when JW didn't have an armor, so it worked well.
The interesting thing is that a lot of these rounds have been very close. The score's 9-1.
Yeah, but look at the economy for Fnatic. Yeah, so
Exactly.
even though it's 9-1, they've been dying so many times, they don't have any money.
It's just a shame Liquid aren't taking the fight late. They're getting the entries, but like you're saying so many times, they aren't getting close enough to the bomb site to do anything with it. They're not taking the control they're giving themselves.
Yeah. So so that's what I'm saying, that the initial round or the initial 30 seconds or minute from Liquid, they're doing it good because they're getting the picks. It's just execution on the sites could be a lot better.
Well, they've been around for a little while, but still a very young roster. Don't have a lot of international experience. This does give them a demo to go back and at least review and say, okay, guys, our problem is, because individual skill right now, they're actually scaling fairly well against Fnatic. Obviously, some errors of inexperience, perhaps you could say, in that 1v3, but Nitro overall has been finding kills. JW again gets aggressive, takes a brunt of damage, and there you go. Nitro finds pronax again. That's drop opened up, and he's opened up that spot so many times, but look, they still do nothing with it.
Yeah. especially knowing because it's pronax, right? And they just saw JW push the A halls.
Yeah, which should be a read that your second player on A is going to be passing.
Look at the rotate now. All Fnatic. They're all there.
Yeah, so they go nowhere. Olof's already shut them down on one angle. KRIMZ on the backside. flusha is going to get a EliGE, and it just falls apart. adreN's got 1 HP. And the shadow of a bullet was all that was needed from him. The USB takes him down from flusha. And again, the opening kill.
You saw, yeah, and that was so funny actually. Like I was just watching the radar. They get the entry on pronax. They know that JW is pushing into, or like from the A bomb site, like very far into mid actually. They still wait, maybe a good 20 seconds, and then all Fnatic is on the B bomb site even before they hit the site. There's no way they can actually manage to get the site when that happens. You know, you get the pick. You know it's pronax. You know JW push. You go right away.
And JW again changes his angle. This time he's not from long A, but still getting a little bit aggressive down toward mid. There's a player that was just off to his right, but it's EliGE and he's evaded. He's gone back toward the rest of his team. If that nade, oh, if that hadn't hit the box, that was big damage onto 2 players.
And you see here again.
That flash does actually catch Olof that time, but KRIMZ is on the crossfire. He'll pick up 3. Olof only gets the 1 assist before he gets taken down. But just by staying alive, they come in with the blinders on. And look at KRIMZ cleans up the round. That's an ace. Just by playing a slightly different angle, KRIMZ completely mows them apart.
Yeah. I'm lost for words right now. I'm lost for words.
And
again,
they followed each other's footsteps. It's not like one turned right and tried to drop through the crack in the wall. It was just, we'll just keep going out straight.
Yeah, and they keep on doing the same thing there. They try to do the same thing again, right? You know, all 5 together, wait for the smoke. Problem is, the Fnatic, they know that they'd like to actually get information. They know that they didn't see anyone mid. They know that you're going to be all 5 at B.
Smoke flush off at danger. That forces JW to change up his angle. Nitro's going to find him as well. Counter flash out from flusha. Has the SMG to get up close. Lots of bullets to fire. KRIMZ actually is forced to draw back on the backside of A as a result, because with 1 aggressive and 1 down, there's nobody home on the site. pronax does find EliGE on the cross. KRIMZ going to get adreN on the way in. And it's all falling apart again as pronax finds daps. They had no answer. Finally, KRIMZ does open up Nitro on the, or pardon me, reverse that. Nitro opens up KRIMZ on the backside, but they're completely pinched. And flusha came back through danger behind them. So FugLy 1 on 3, just to Tech 9, and look at the, oh, we just saw that laser come in behind him. There you go. Olof was there.
Yeah, so, I mean, they should still buy here. And
we haven't even mentioned money bonus, but that's pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would say so, but overall, like you were saying, we were talking about it before with the pistol. Like, oh yeah, they seem to know at least something, right? They have a plan. They have some smokes and flashes. Okay, sure. Having 1 smoke and 1 flash, yeah, sure, it's something, right? But we don't have an initial line of thinking where, well, where are you going with this round that you're doing right now? Then you're not going to win, especially not against Fnatic.
And this time it's back to a little more default. Olof is a bit more passive. It's interesting that he's been more passive in this game than normal. Normally he's up close every round, but the way that they're smoking it and flashing through, it does force him off a little bit. So this is potentially something for other teams to look at as well, because normally Olof is the one that top frags right now, but he's forced back a little bit further time and time again in this particular matchup. And KRIMZ will be the one to throw out that secondary smoke, bounce it off the box. Now Olof with no one
look at
coming out.
JW. He's pushing. There's no one here, guys. They're going B.
KRIMZ already finds 1. pronax does massive damage to FugLy. daps does push through the smoke. That catches Olof. But again, this is similar to the pistol round that we saw, the second pistol round in specific, because they went the same strategy. They don't push through, though. Now they're just stacked up, and flusha's holding an angle so easy through the box, and there's nowhere for these last 2 players to go.
Yeah, and this one, just at least leave 1 guy in mid. You know JW's gonna push. You know this.
We saw, I think it was daps that threw over the wall at the long hallway to block off the connector at the front of the rectangle, the garden, or whatever you want to call that. That smoke actually could work the way that they're reversing. When they rotate a player into connector, the player that's inside drop actually plays that reverse angle out toward long. If they can get that smoke out more, cancel out Olof early, then they have a chance to get to the backside of the site, but they're never getting there.
See here again, Fnatic pushing, just getting that initial map control. Because that's key even for the CTs. They're doing a good job at it. And Liquid, they don't have a response.
And pronax catches daps. That was very efficient play from flusha because they knew he was actually aggressive and long. They wanted to come up danger behind him, and one Molotov holds them off. So when he resumes the duty, he gets aggressive again, and no idea he was there that time.
Yeah. They're just getting run over.
Olof has one player already pushed in, though. Has to be so careful. Somehow survives. Gets away with only 5. The nade will do the rest from adreN, but that's all it will do, and we have a 14-1 score line. Now, this may not seem surprising, Fnatic versus Team Liquid, but based on the way the round started, it actually kind of is that Liquid couldn't close out. This could have easily been, I think there was 5 other rounds that they could have had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 afterplant rounds where they should have won. Just misplace on the B bomb site. They peeked instead of hiding. On the A bomb site, they got the bomb down afterplant. They hid instead of peeking. Knowing that they're actually getting into the A bomb site, it's a lot more difficult. So yeah, a lot of mistakes that cost Liquid a lot of rounds, and this is why they only have 1 round coming into the CT side.
And EliGE, the newest player on the roster, finished out with only 4 in that half. Remember, he replaced Nafly. It was slightly before all the roster shuffle. flusha's going to open it up. Dap's already down. Glock train fires away.
And you see Olof as well. He's the final raid boss. Tech 9 armor.
Yep. I think someone said there was a stat that, like, in the last couple months, that's his most used weapon or something.
I can imagine why. Like, yeah, I can imagine why.
So Olof's going to push it out. He's already on to B. Fnatic haven't committed either way, although this is long rotations, and when they're walking in specific, it is a lot longer. So this indicates that they should eventually commit to B. Now, that smoke gives away a position, so Olof's going to pop up and take that shot. It's Nitro that's down very low now, 65 HP. adreN's also getting tagged up to 44 on the A side as they're just trying to hold him in place with 1 player, 1 lurk player, and it's being successful so far. flusha finds one on the way through. pronax eventually does take down Nitro on the backside. And remember, if this pistol round goes the way of Fnatic, we're on match point already. EliGE gets 1. They're finally coming alive. Make it 2 for him. Important that he at least gets some kills to get his confidence level up, moving on to Mirage, but here we go, match point already.
Yeah, and look at the difference in playstyles there, right? So you had Liquid for all 15 rounds almost on their T side. They didn't really take any map control. They didn't try and confuse Fnatic. You see Fnatic, even on the pistol round, all of them just managed to walk out in B, but Fnatic are still putting pressure on the A bomb side, so they can't actually rotate. They're keeping Team Liquid on their toes at all times and on both sides. That's the main difference here that you see, like, just from this 1 round, Fnatic versus Team Liquid.
Olof gets through with the SMG this time. Now, he didn't realize there was a lot more players pushed up than there was. He found the first, but that smoke concealed the other 3, so there is still a bit of a stack on the B site. This forces them to thin up a little bit with daps out toward danger. Look, again, 1 smoke. Fnatic is so good at utilizing just a single smoke to hold a player in position, so daps is scared to push through it. He's not sure if there's someone waiting, and he doesn't get any information.
Yeah.
So yeah, he actually falls all the way back, whereas right now he could potentially be on the flank, similar to how we saw JW do things. However, JW is waiting for that lurk, so...
I mean, they need to take a gamble here, like when they just stack a site. They are with 3 people, but Daps over here on the A-bomb, so he should just he should just leave towards the B-bomb side right away.
FugLy's boosted up onto the tree. Nitro's already gotten aggressive on the back of that team flash. Does okay damage as we see flusha down to 34, but they're going back, and they...
Yeah.
They have 30 seconds. They will be able to make this, but Liquid need to read it early. daps is already headed back over.
Yeah, but they're not moving Liquid at all.
This is interesting that daps dropped down but didn't push any further, because by staying up on the stairs, he has a way to peek and hide. Now he has nowhere to hide when they get close, and in fact, it won't even matter. They've already got him. Olof's going to come in as well. FugLy does get one on the backside. That's JW, and he's picked up the AK as a result, but bombs down. 2 men only remain now for Liquid, and one of them has very low HP. FugLy on 12, FugLy on 0, and Nitro on 50. Gets the shot on Olof, so still wants to show off some impressive individual skill, but that's all he'll do. And it's 16-1 Fnatic. Make it look easy in map 1.
Oh yeah, they did for sure, and I mean that's why they picked Cbble. They're very good at Cbble.
Yeah, definitely. Again, there was rounds where Liquid, not to discredit, like, again, I don't want to hype up a team that just got 16-1. It's hard to do that, but there is still room for improvement in the fact that the rounds were starting off. It wasn't entirely a complete slaughter. There was a bit of an opening for Liquid. They just never did anything with it.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually see like the lack of experience from the Liquid side. I was saying before, even before coming into the game, that the player to watch for me, Liquid or Nitro will put in the points. I said adreN because he's their in-game leader. He needs to be he needs to actually use the players that he have to the best of his abilities, and he didn't really do that. They got the picks, that was great, but then what happened after that? Nothing,
execution.
nothing
Yeah,
at all.
And there wasn't even, like,
Very
again,
passive.
we talked about that one smoke that went over the wall that could have opened things up. We only saw them throw that like once, maybe twice. We saw it for sure once on camera. There might have been one other round when it was out. So you're right. It was the picks were there. The individual was there. There was no teamwork afterwards. So that's an excellent point that they need to definitely work on. And now we go to Mirage. That could be interesting. So.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that this is Liquid's pick, so hopefully they will have a better showing on Mirage. But then again, Fnatic, they were looking good on Cobblestone, and Mirage is also one of their better maps. So hopefully we're going to see a tighter game. But by the way they were playing on this map with the team play and the execution that they had, even though they're, who knows, right? Maybe they don't play Cobblestone that much.
Yeah.
But you know, they need to go and talk about this and just make sure that, you know, they stick together and they actually execute the sites.
Well, let's bring our analysts back in. James, Thorin, what did you guys think of the matchup?
Thank you very much, Sadakist. Thorin, yeah, it was the plow,
one-sided
one-sided plow,
Yeah.
the plowing.
There's only one side to a plow. There's the guy behind it who's pushing the plow, and then there's the dirt getting plowed by it.
Yeah,
So I know which
And
was
they were
which within that
we know
within that
I think
relationship. Yeah.
we all know. So the standout, or not the standout players, but the players that we spoke about beforehand
Yep.
that needed to pick it up. Nitro, you said has been standout recently,
Yeah, yeah.
and adreN
He's the most
needed to
skilled
pick
player on
it
the
up.
team, I think.
How do you feel like the guys did? Do you
yeah.
think,
I
how
think
can
it
they
was-
improve going to the next one?
It
'Cause
was a bit of what I kind of mentioned, which is that okay, Nitro, he did what you expected. He got some kills. He had some nice skill moments. But it reminds me in the NBA. Okay, sometimes you have a team that's like not a very good team, but they do have a good player on it, and they always say like, in this game here, okay, like we're going to win the game. We're much better than them, but you know, let him get his points. Like he can get his points and look good for the fans, but then everyone gets what they want. You know, they get a show from this guy, but then the better team wins. It kind of felt like this in this game because even when Nitro would get these kills, it couldn't have much impact on the game. It's not like he could win around by himself or just destroy the best player from Fnatic every time. He was just getting his kills here and there, and some of them when there weren't that many players left on his teams, he was kind of just picking up free kills that don't actually contribute to the round win. In terms of adreN, I won't say he choked outright. Like a lot of teams are going to have that sort of scoreline if they go on terrorist side of Cobblestone against Fnatic. But in terms of what I mentioned about if he has any issues, it can transfer over to the leadership aspect. I didn't really like their terrorist side approach at all. It was so slow. I think on that map, that's like death. If you try to go to the left side, for example, as the terrorists, if you just really slow it down completely, again, it's the Swedish teams particularly. They always have such good comms that they will be picking up on stuff like, right, I haven't spotted anyone here, so then someone will be rotating over, and you'll always meet extra men in the site. Whereas if you just went a bit faster, yeah, they're going to know you're coming. They're going to be able to put the counter flashes in. But in theory, you can fight versus 3 people in the site there. Maybe you have a better chance of getting in there. On the whole in the game, I don't have a lot of criticism for Liquid. They were just outclassed. I mean, there was a round where flusha won like a 1v3 with just a CZ, so I don't know what you're supposed to do at that point in time. That's not supposed to happen. It was one of those hashtag just flusha things moments, I think.
Yeah. What can they do? Is there anything they can do at this point? We're going to be going into
surrender,
Mirage next.
ask for clemency, mercy, provide gifts and tributes to the Emperor's Fnatic. You know, there's lots of things they can do. No, there are serious things they could do to win this game. Voodoo, call upon the old gods, get a mafia hitman. Yeah, you're asking for real. Yeah. These are real things they can do, innit, guys?
These are actual physical things that they can do.
No,
These
but
guys
obviously they can. There's not a lot you can do here because the problem they have. This is actually an interesting point I was talking about with some of the guys when I was watching this game was, I noticed the American teams in general, it feels like they're kind of like centered on their team. They just pick the maps and ban based on what they think they're good on. So Liquid assumes, right, we're really good on Mirage. We think we're good on it. So whereas I'd tell them, under no circumstances, let it go to Mirage. Fnatic's really good on it. Their philosophy is like, we'll go to the maps we like. Whereas actually, I prefer the strategy of like, you just go away from the maps of the team that's better than you. Like if you're an underdog, you always get away from their best maps. Even if it's maps that aren't that great for you, maybe you aren't that great on Dust 2 or Cash, I'd rather gamble and go more towards those maps than play something like Inferno or Mirage. And so historically, I've noticed Liquid didn't really take the gamble there. They always went with their strong map and just prayed they'd win. But praying that you're going to beat Fnatic on Inferno and Mirage probably is not a good plan.
Okay, so guys, I'll bring it over here to you guys as well. In the first match we saw Nip and Immunity. After the first map of that, we were like, okay, Immunity, they're not going to be able to do anything here. It's a steamroll. But in the second map, we saw them give them a decent game. Can we see a similar situation maybe come out here? Cedicus, do you think?
I think there's a bit of a difference there in the fact that that went to Dust 2. And although people
Yeah.
consider NIP as Dust 2, you know, they're fairly good on it. It also is a map that a lot more teams can actually kind of play a pug style. There's less execution that's required due to the open spaces, specifically at long. It's more of just a one-on-one duel kind of map. I don't think that on Mirage we're going to have quite that same opportunity. Now, I do think Liquid should get more than one round. That's a given. But I think that this map actually, yes, they play it a little bit more. They actually are reasonable on it. But against Fnatic, again, I go back to the rounds against Flipside in the Katowice qualifiers. It was like a broken record for Liquid. They got smoked off on A, and they just wait for the smokes to go away. But by that time, the bomb had already gone down. They secured post-plant situations, and they could never win the rounds. Liquid needs to address issues early in games, and they never seem to do that. It seems to be the same mistakes occur the entire half. So, again, I think they'll get more rounds, but I don't think it'll be quite like Immunity's run against NIP.
And Robin, I'm hoping for a slightly serious answer. What what can they do here?
They need
Is
to
there
work.
anything they can
Okay. Again, I don't think they're going to win the map. I think that they can do a better job than on Cobblestone. And the main thing for me was they got the picks. Everything was good, but the execution wasn't there. You saw plenty of times when they hit the B bomb site where you just waited, kind of like how Cedicus was saying that they played on Mirage before, where you just wait for the smokes to fade and then they go. You can't do that. Yeah, sure, it's a bad thing to run through a smoke, but there's going to be situations where you have to, and you have to take that gamble, you know, with a good flash or whatever, and just storm the site. Yeah, sure, you might lose 2 or 3 men, but you're gonna at least, you know, hit the site. So yeah, the initial picks, they did good. I feel like on Cobble, they got the picks, knowing that Fnatic are playing aggressive. They will play aggressive on Mirage as well, especially coming back from a 16-1 win on Cobblestone. So standard round, get the picks, work together, execute, plant the bomb, win the after plant, win some rounds, go over to CT, get trashed, and then play the next game.
So we're talking about the T side needs to be stronger. On Cobblestone, we saw that. Would you agree that the new Cobblestone is actually leaning towards T side a little bit?
It's more T-sided than any other Cobble we've ever seen. I don't know if you could call it T-sided.
But it's more towards T side.
Yeah, and we
like,
kind of said that before the match
it
started. We kind of said 9-6 is a lot more common now. 8-7 in teams that play it regularly. So.
Yeah. So it's difficult when we're seeing them play generally badly on the T side at this point.
I mean, they weren't like the first minutes of the rounds were actually not that bad because they got the picks and stuff. It's just that their general idea of, okay, what do we do with the frags that we just got? Like, what is our plan? That wasn't there. Like, that was just lacking completely.
And that's why I kind of think that on Mirage in particular, I think they'll get more rounds just because they'll be more familiar with it. They've played it more times. So when they get the kills, they'll have an idea of what they should do, what that means for the complexity of the defense and, you know, their setup. Again, though, the mid for Fnatic on Mirage is so strong. You've got 3 different angles they can play you from. Depending on how JW plays it, it means KRIMZ can be back toward A if they want to be. Liquid has to find a hole in the defense early and exploit it as many times as possible to get rounds T-side. They really have to. And whether that's going to be direct executions on A, or if adreN and Nitro can find picks at mid. I mean, whatever it is, they've got to find it, utilize it, and take full control of it this time.
Well, the problem is, though, if they want to get picks on mid, like in NA, there's lots of people think their AWP is okay. Online especially, they're all just going for all the AWP shots. You don't want to be peeking that middle window room when JW's there with an AWP.
You have to smoke it.
That can immediately throw off what you're normally used to doing there. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on, like what's going to happen with that. Because if they can't get that mid control, well, we saw in this game here, a great example is like Cobblestone, where there's not like a general mid area. You can only go to one of the 2 sites. And so as a result, one of the things that Fnatic's the best at is on their CT setups, reading like, okay, we haven't seen anyone over there, let's just gamble and put the 4 onto this one site, you know. So if they do that on Mirage, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get into that A site.
And on Mirage, it's not even just that they set up with the 4 men, it's the rotation. JW is known for jumping out the window, watching underpass. As he does that, KRIMZ slides to A. Now that's 1 more man on the A site, so now they've just covered off mid. No one's there. Great. Now we've covered off A. JW then rotates back up. So even if Liquid want to go, okay, A execution, A execution, A execution, there's still another man at jungle that wasn't there, you know, in the first 10 seconds of the round that will be there in the next 15 before they go back to the default. Like, it's really dynamic play, which is, again, they have to find the hole very quickly.
If they're looking for a pattern of what you could do, it has to be said that interestingly, a team that did beat them, Fnatic on Mirage recently, was TSM, and they had some crazy T rounds actually. So maybe if you've watched that demo, because if you're watching the most recent Fnatic demos anyway, maybe you can pick up something from that. Like maybe this works, or we saw a little hole here that was exploited. The problem is you're not TSM, so you might not be able to actually execute on the plan, even if you kind of have a sense for what would work.
I actually do like the Voodoo play though.
Yeah, that's what I'd go with.
I
I'd be
think that's
outside
like
with
the best
chicken
thing you do at this
and,
this moment, right?
The other interesting thing, though, is in general in North America, a lot more teams. It's one of the things I noticed instantly about Mirage when I came over to Europe and saw it more and more. I saw it a little bit at LANs where Europeans were there, but it's almost like the default for teams in Europe to run that one-player underpass to get up close to the window. North America teams don't do that quite as much. They actually just go, all right, we'll take one pick mid, and then the rest of us are over at A waiting. So they need to find a way to just get in positions that give them more of a chance. Because, again, even if you run the one-player underpass, that forces the player at A to have to pay attention to connector. If you're not going to make him do that job, he's just supporting everyone at A, and that's another man you have to deal with. So
well, I always stress that the problem if you're playing Fnatic on Mirage is that by default on that map, you're supposed to be able to get into the A site. Even if you can't hold it, even if they come in and do the retake, you're supposed to at least get bomb plants. You're supposed to be able to smoke it off and run in, and okay, a couple might die, but you get the site. Versus Fnatic, sometimes when they have these, like, they stack properly and they gamble properly and they know you're not going to the B site, you just can't even get in the site sometimes. They're just holding it really well up close. The guy's over at the palace area. It's like you can't get out even. So that's usually the dynamic people have is like, okay, we can always get into A. So we're going to set that up and then we're going to go B based on that. But if you can't even get into the A, well, then eventually you just have to go B and then they have the lockdown there. This is one of the maps that you really can lock down CT side, I think. And Fnatic's one of the best at doing that.
What's going through the minds of Fnatic right now? Do you think they're already looking to their next match? Do you think they feel like
I'm pretty sure they're talking about what they're going to eat after the game.
Yeah, they're just...
I think so. I mean...
Well,
but
they've
they're
worked up a
confident.
sweat plowing that field, you know.
Yeah. But they're confident, right? I mean, and you want to be you want to be kind of relaxed when you go into a game anyway.
Yeah.
You're probably talking right now. Yeah.
Well, we've heard from the comms actually when we've heard the recent events POV recordings of these teams playing with each other. You can tell how calm they are during the matches, which is really awesome.
Back in your day when you played, if they'd have had those comms for you, you know.
Back in my day,
If they'd have had those comms,
like 10 years ago.
If they'd have had those comms with translation, would we have heard some good stuff? Would you guys have been like, oh yeah, this time when we beat Very Games, I actually want it to be NBK that cries, not Smiths, you know, like that's my aim for this game, guys.
I mean, okay, well, to be honest, Fnatic, yeah, there's some fun guys over there, right?
There's some interesting guys.
Yeah,
there. Some interesting creations of God. That's
exactly. But then and then NIP they have Freiburg. It was very nice teddy bear and get right.
Where are we going with this?
Get right always says like weird things. So I'm sorry, right, but that is actually the truth. Like he's kind of weird. Like he can start mumbling about something and stuff like that. But yeah, but there are VODs from when I used to play 10 years ago. On the
MS ones.
You have to download them and import them into Winamp.
Yeah, you know,
the
on the
file that still reads it.
There's an FTP somewhere. You know, it should be probably scratch it off and find it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yes, there are.
Is an interesting question then. If you know there's a POV recording of you during an event, do you hold back on some of the stuff that you're saying in TeamSpeak?
Sometimes. I mean,
I think some teams would milk it. I think I would milk it. I'd be like, oh, I know they're listening. Let's just troll.
You see that? I feel like that sometimes when you're listening back to it. You're like, okay, they know we were going to hear that because they're just. Well, it feels like they're trolling us.
There's going to be times where you don't even think about it, and you might say something that you shouldn't have said. I'm not going to say what. But
no, of course. But do you think that is a little dangerous then for brands? We're going off on a tangent here, but I think it's really interesting. It's something I've been thinking about since the POV streams have been so popular recently. Like, some teams are going to get to the point where the organisations are going to go, actually, no, we don't want our teams on POV because just in case they say something bad. Or
it actually happened in Dota. That's what happened. They originally had these POV streams, and some of the teams like complained, like, we don't want to be on. Especially because you have to realise one of the things that's a bit unfair, especially in games like Dota and CSGO, which have so many European teams. Okay, most of them probably only speak in their language anyway, so unless someone translates it, maybe there won't be the issue of people hearing things they don't want to. But culturally, certain things are allowed to be said in certain cultures that you can't get away with in like a North American PR-friendly, family-friendly world. And so these guys would have to like retrain themselves on how to talk to a degree almost.
I think the bigger issue isn't even the pregame troll, because then even if it's intentional, they're going to kind of word it carefully. And yeah, they're trolling, but they're still aware they're listening. I think the bigger issue would be rage. if someone rages out and says something completely offside about someone, whether it's instinctively racial or just that I want to kill this person, and it has some undertone to it, that's a huge issue because that's coming natural. And you're like, oh wait, someone heard me say that. That might be something you've done your whole career, and now someone's listening. Like,
I know you're trying to play your game, but you're on edge.
yeah, and I mean,
constantly.
rage happens. It shouldn't at a pro level, in my opinion, but it does. I mean, and if that's the bigger issue because that's when your emotions are let go, and then it's like, oh shit, someone just heard all of that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, to be fair, if you just had the camera and the voice thing on me when I'm playing matchmaking, I think
I
I'd
would
pretty
love-
much-
Yeah,
it'd be
geez.
amazing.
Do you even play any matchmaking, Thorin?
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Really?
Do you
what
upload
rank
it?
are you?
Oh, if I tell you that, then the Reddit detectives will start searching, and I'll see if someone plays master.
Yeah, with the
we'll
bandwave,
get to
he's
it.
like-
Wait, okay,
Global
wait.
elite.
So, what's your nickname again then? Do you have one?
Well, that's the same thing. They're going to go and check the account. I can't tell anyone
That's
that
what I'm
information.
asking for.
Okay.
Okay, so we need someone that has
Yeah.
Thorin on the friend list, just
See
like,
if they can,
like
yeah.
we want to know.
Okay.
Somebody find
See if we
Thorin.
can
It's-
find
how,
out.
how many zeros is
I
it?
know.
Thorin 7
I'll
No.
never
zeros?
use my real name. I played under an alias.
Knowing Thorin is like Death Slayer or, you know.
Slayer
Yeah,
69.
No, for Flower 944. That's
Really?
my alias. Yeah,
There's a lot of those actually.
there is.
Yeah, so we would never be able to find the right one.
And all the avatars are just your face as well.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just complete. How do you feel about the map coming up third?